Okay, so we made it to Tom Devlin's Monster Museum in Boulder City.
Historic Boulder City.
Historic.
And how do we know it's historic? Because the sign told us so.
So it's, what time is it?
It's almost 2.
Almost 2.
Yes, it is 1:51 to be exact.
Now, we did plan on taking the 2 o'clock tour. However, we got lucky enough to be able to get a private tour by Tom Devlin. So we're going to hang out here for 45 minutes until 2:45. And, well, actually a little more than 45 minutes. But until 2:45, we'll hang out.
Right.
And then we'll get a private tour with him.
Yep. We'll try to get some pictures of what we can, a little video before he gets here, so that way we don't take up all of his time. But you know, y'all should get the good tour. So, all right, let's walk around a little bit.
All right. Quite a few cool things out front. Looks like the hearse is loaded with pumpkins instead of bodies.
It still has the rollers in it. I like this.
I do too. Nice. Somebody broke the window though. But it is nice. Grandpa Munster back here. Leopard's print seats. And beware the vampire.
It's Grandpa Munster.
And yours for the hearing. Come, let Zoltar tell you more.
Looks like Captain America has been through some things.
Get him on the books or whatever, like put it scheduled. Yeah. Who? Oh, your accountant? No, my cousin does AC. Oh, okay. Slimish goes in the house. Alright, bye you guys. Bye, have a good weekend, Sarah. You too.
Like there's a big skull.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then there's some cool stuff outside that you don't have to pay to see, but like as a car guy, I thought it was cool, these things here. Like it's got 2 wheels on the back and 2 sets of wheels on the front.
Oh yeah, that is cool.
It's got a big block, blown engine in it. Like they drive for real. It's crazy.
That is cool.
Yeah, there's a engine in it.
Very cool. Yeah, this is my kind of thing.
So, yeah, I get a lot lot of famous people signing in.
We have our fair share. We do signings too. We try to do a signing every month. We have Noah Hathaway coming in, not this weekend, next weekend. And we've had like Butch Patrick and CJ Graham and Phyllis Rose. The Monster Museum phone just randomly, and he was like, "Is Tom there?" And I mean, Tom gets people all the time that like call the museum and want to talk to him, and I'm like, "Oh, he's busy, he's teaching." And he goes, "Oh, okay, no problem. Just tell him I called. He may know who I am. I'm Butch Patrick. I was Eddie Munster." And I was like, "Oh, hold on. He's not busy anymore." And I like went over.
I was just kidding.
Just kidding. And Tom was actually teaching, and I told him, I said, "Butch Patrick's on the phone," and his face was like, "Who?" I was like, "Butch Patrick." And he was like, "It's okay." It was so funny. Very great.
I'm gonna need a quarter. Well, I played Pac-Man and I am not what I used to be. Rob is playing House of the Dead 2.
Because House of the Dead is not put here.
Nice coffee cups. Tiki City.
We're to expand the museum here about
How interesting.
I never heard of that. So now we have
I guess I'll head into the cinema when I find Rob.
Yes, definitely.
Into the cinema we go.
Juices in their hands and in their brains
Refreshments.
create these pieces.
So we're gonna hang out and watch a few documentaries for us.
Everything that came past us, we grabbed onto it.
Tommy's a talent. He comes from a talent.
Like my take, like a Phantom of the Opera doesn't look an identical replica of Lon Chaney, but it is my take on the character. And then you can take all the photos, video you want, just no flash.
Okay.
If I'm moving too fast, just stop me. If I'm moving too slow, push me along.
I don't think you can go too slow.
By all means, ask any questions you have, and if you need me to clarify anything, I will.
Thank you. That's awesome.
So we start with the silent film era being the beginning of film history, obviously, and using the Nosferatu as kind of our welcoming guy here. Nosferatu, 1922. There's a cool myth about Maxwell Schreck, who played Count Orlok, that he was a real vampire. And there was a cool movie made with John Malkovich called Shadow the Vampire that's about that whole thing. But they tried to make an actual Dracula film, but the Stoker family would not give them the rights, so they just changed it to Count Orlok and changed a couple little things, but it's pretty much the first telling of Dracula.
Awesome.
Nobody really knows who did his makeup, who did the bald cap and the ears and the big fingers, and that's kind of cool because it's a German film, and you know that's what gave the lore that was he a real vampire? You know, he would show up in character.
Oh, so he showed up to the set already made.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen the movie for sure. Classic.
Oh yeah. And then I think it was in like 90, maybe 2000 or 99, Typo Negative did a score to it. You can watch the whole silent film with Typo Negative doing the score, and that's pretty cool. As far as it comes with makeup effects, Lon Chaney Sr. to us is like the beginning, right? Like in America, we know that Lon Chaney Sr. was the man of 1,000 faces. He was Phantom of the Opera, Hunchback of Notre Dame. He played anything from Lenny from Mice and Men to these crazy horror characters, and he created everything he did out of this little makeup kit. And he was really a genius when it came to contorting himself and going through pain for the art. He emoted so well on silent film, and a lot of people say the reason for that was that his parents were deaf mutes, so he grew up emoting without having anybody that could hear him or correspond with him. So I think that's why he did so well in the silent film era.
That would make sense.
Yeah, pretty interesting guy. Definitely a legend in our craft.
Yeah.
But I love the character as well. Very.
So do you do the costumes?
Yeah, everything is put together by me or somebody that's helping me in my team. Like Waleed out there does a lot of work with us. Sometimes I'll draft my wife to sew stuff and whatever. But I sculpt everything from clay and make the molds. And
Do you have a favorite?
yeah, the Creature of the Black Lagoon is definitely my favorite. And one of the longest, it took the longest, this was a labor of love. There's something special about him that the rest are all molded, and if the whole place burned down, I could reproduce him. But from the neck down, he's like a one-off sculpture, so there's no recasting it. It's just one of a kind. Yeah. And of course, Boris Karloff, who played the Mummy and Frankenstein's monster. He was also the voice from How the Grinch Stole Christmas. A lot of people know that Boris Karloff played Frankenstein's monster, but what a lot of people aren't familiar with is this guy, Jack Pierce, who created the Wolfman, Frankenstein's makeup. He was responsible for Dracula's makeup and the Mummy and Bride of Frankenstein. He created all of our universal horrors that we think of when you think of monsters. And Jack, he kind of never was able to adapt and change with the times. He never learned how to sculpt and mold. He would build all of this on Boris Karloff's face while he sat in the makeup chair without like pre-made appliances. So as times changed and studios wanted to move faster, his apprentices kind of took over his industry. And Jack, when he passed away, he was gluing fishing line to Mr. Ed's lip to make him talk. And he really kind of had a unceremonious exit of the industry. And it wasn't until the times of the internet that really he was revived as like this legend. And it's sad because he's got no family or anybody, so he kind of like, he disappeared. But he was incredible, and he's responsible for the look of the Universal Monsters pretty much solely.
The most iconic.
Yeah, and they really gave him a lot of creative freedom. I mean, there wasn't test makeups and approvals. It was just put him in Jack's chair,
Right.
And I think that's really cool. Lon Chaney Jr., not to be confused with his dad, was an incredible creature performer. He not only played the Wolfman, he also played the Mummy at one time. He played Frankenstein's monster at one time. He's pretty much done the big three and kind of one of the coolest character actors of the 40s. One of his later movies was a movie called Spider Baby, and he starred alongside Sid Haig, who went on to be Captain Spaulding in the House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects. I've worked with Sid quite a bit, and he used to talk very highly of Lon Chaney Jr.
Man. That thing is incredible, all the detail.
Yeah, I love that.
With your school, do you offer like online classes?
Mostly, well, we're working towards all online.
Okay.
Because the physical school, I just don't have a lot of time. I work a lot, so we're really trying to get all of our courses online. We have 3 how-to DVDs that we already offer, but we want to have like an online curriculum that once you pass this section, you move on to the next, and you got to test out, and very much like an online college.
I like that.
Yeah.
Everything else that we've seen, it's just jump here,
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Well, you really do need to pick up the foundations before you get to that
Right.
stuff, that are showing these like amazing, incredible stuff. I mean, it's so entertaining to watch, but as a viewer who doesn't know how to get there, sometimes it's so intimidating, like you'll never create what they're creating.
Right.
So you really need to start at the beginning and work your way towards there and build your confidence in your skill, you know.
I think what we also found is like some of the equipment, because we subscribe to that. Some of their equipment is just way too outlandish for.
So there's something that I would like to do, and we're still working out the online school, but I would like to have 3 different programs, like a hobbyist where you can pick and choose, and if you just want to play with a maquette, you can do that. I want to have the career path, which includes drop shipping supplies. So if you're on the career path subscription for that month's class, say you're doing bald cap, beards, and old age, you will get the makeup kit in the mail, so you have the materials. The problem is you can give a material list, but you guys are never going to get up and go get it. You know what I mean? Or you can't find it, or you know. So I want it to show up. You get motivated. You do your work. You test out on paper, and then there'll be the apprenticeship, which would be the exact same thing with the drop shipping of the materials, but it would also consist of screen time with me that I could actually critique and talk to you about your project.
That would be awesome.
Like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours a week, something like that. Like at the end of the week, we go over what was done. Because people have life, you know, a lot of people doing online school have real jobs or kids. So it needs to be made to work at your pace, but you need somebody to keep the fire lit. So you actually go through it.
So
Right.
do you have like an email list or anything?
Yes, yeah. There's an email list, and I don't know if you guys met Tara up front. Was she blonde or dark hair?
Dark hair.
Okay, that's Kayla. She's in charge of all of it.
Okay.
So I can actually have her come over and get your information too if you're interested.
Okay. Well, she has my number. If it's more convenient
Okay.
for her to call, then she can do
Okay.
that.
Because, yeah, we're revamping all of the school stuff. This is one thing that it takes a lot of work because we have to pre-film everything, but we're going to get there.
Okay.
And that's kind of my goal.
Awesome.
Yeah. This way. So I'm a huge Munsters fan. My daughter's actually named after Lily Munster, and we've become really good friends with Butch Patrick. He comes here quite
We
often.
heard the story.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Well, that's what I was telling them in Louisville. They had the Street Rod Nationals,
Oh yeah,
15,000 cars, and he comes there.
comes with the coach.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
There was a thing, he told me he's going to pitch a show called Haunt Improvement, where me and him drive around in the coach and go to haunted houses and help build, help their business.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
I would definitely watch that.
Yeah, there was a channel, they shot a horror hosting show in here with Butch, and he was talking to the guy about it the whole time, and I was like, is this real? Like, this is cool. I'll do that.
I got a friend who owns a haunted house. I know he'd let you come.
Oh yeah? Which
Yeah.
one?
American
The
Horror.
American Horrorplex in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay, I don't know that one. I've done a lot of haunted house work, and
It
that's
was
what
the
brought me
7th
to
Street
Louisville.
haunt.
It was the what?
It was the 7th Street haunt, and they
Okay,
had to move.
I think I remember that.
So,
I say Planet of the Apes to me. Now I don't know how long you guys were in that theater, but there's a big apes documentary.
We've seen it.
So this is to me the most important movie in prosthetic makeup history. Only one to defeat this one. Oddly enough, the amount of work and effort and prosthetics that are in Wizard of Oz, it goes unseen because they had so many problems with the Tin Man silver paint.
Yes.
Yeah, that they kind of don't talk about the makeup in Wizard of Oz.
right.
But the Scarecrow, the Cowardly Lion, the Tin Man, the Wicked Witch, all the Flying Monkeys, these guys are all in prosthetics that didn't exist back then. That was a first. So for Planet of the Apes, John Chambers came out and said, I can make them move, I can make them breathe and live. And without apes, I don't believe we ever would have had Freddy Krueger or Hellboy or any of these living creatures, and before Planet of the Apes, you just had like Creature of the Black Lagoon, guys in rubber masks. So it's super important for our industry. John Chambers, he kind of was an unsung hero. He got scooped up by the government and went and did that Project Argo, where they had to help get some civilians or soldiers out from the Middle East. And because of his ties with the FBI, he kind of lost all notoriety as a Hollywood guy for a while. And but he is an incredible effects artist, and and responsible for so much of what we use today. And what's slowly disappearing due to computers.
Computers.
Yeah. And of course, Dick Smith. You can't mention makeup effects without the godfather of makeup, Dick Smith, who, although he did The Exorcist and is so well known for it, he really wasn't a horror guy. I mean, he did The Godfather, Taxi Driver, Little Big Man. He used makeup effects in drama to sell the shows, you know. My career has mostly been trauma, full moon, asylum, like low budget horror. And that's what I really wanted to do in life.
That's cool.
Yeah, Poultrygeist was a trauma film. I was a huge Toxic Avenger fan, so getting to do this movie was a big deal for me. That was in like 2005. Of course, George Romero. What I love about the Living Dead series and George Romero is that's like the birth of the American zombie, you know, the rise from the grave, flesh-eating zombie. Before that, they were really just like Haitian voodoo curses. These are from the Killjoy series. This is from Killjoy 3, 4, and 5.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That's kind of my franchise, you know. I got to be a big part of it, and it's pretty cool to have a character that I feel pretty connected with.
Oh yeah.
Low budget, but still really fun.
I was gonna say still awesome.
Yeah. It's a Ginger Dead Man. My favorite artist in the world is John Carl Buechler, and he did the original Ginger Dead Man, and I got to take the series over, so that's and then these are all from the Asylum or Sci-Fi Channel.
The Mega Piranha.
Yeah.
Those are so funny.
I've done so many megas this and super that. Super Croc, Mega Piranha, Piranaconda, Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus, like a million megas. I did Puppet Master Axis Rising, Puppet Master Axis Termination, and then this one's from Blade the Iron Cross, which was like a solo film.
What's it feel like to get to be able to work on one of those
It's
movies
incredible,
after?
man. Like, there's a weird thing because when I tell a lot of people this, especially when I'm teaching, I was so busy trying to live my dream, I had a hard time realizing I was there.
Right.
Recently, 2 different Full Moon books came out, and Full Moon Features, who puts out the Puppet Masters, I'm in both of those books, and that's probably like the biggest mark on my belt. Like there's other kids like I was that'll read those books and be inspired by me the way that I was inspired by John Buechler or Gabe Bartalos and Tom Savini, you know, like
Right.
It's pretty, I'm 40 now, and it's pretty eye-opening to understand that I achieved exactly what I set out to do. These guys were what I set out to do. I'm a huge fan of Ghoulies, much like I was a big fan of Puppet Master, and I never got a chance to work on a Ghoulies film, but we did these guys, the Ouijas, which are pretty much Ghoulies' cousins. So it's like Smurfs
Okay.
and Snorks, you know.
Yeah. I can still remember going into the.
Video
It wasn't
store.
even a Blockbuster then, yeah, just a.
Yeah, mom
and
and
walking
pop
in,
video
and
store.
you know, the poster was right there
Uh-huh.
from the original.
Nobody
Ghoulies.
wanted to sit on that toilet after that.
No.
The Killer Clowns from Outer Space, one of my all-time favorites. I love the effects work in the movie. It was directed by effects artists too, the Kyoto brothers, who are 3 brothers. They run an effects shop. When I was 19 and I first got to LA, I called them and I said, I'll sweep your floors, I'll do anything. And they said, no, I'm going to give you some advice. You need to go to college, you need to get a real job, computers are coming, and this industry's over. And I was like, I will, no interest in doing that. Like, I'm not going to go. And they're like,
Yeah.
this isn't going to work out. Well, 10 years later, I ended up working with Charlie Kyoto on a movie, and I told him, he told me that. He's like, I would never say that. I would never say that. Had to be my brother Steven. And I was like, no, you told me that I should pack it up before I started. But these are some of my favorite. This is probably one of my favorite sculpts I ever did. I did it for the mask company, Trick or Treat Studios. I think they recently discontinued the mask, but it was pretty cool.
So when you come up with things like that, do you come off the top of your head, or do
No.
they give you something?
So, like, for Trick or Treat, they said, we need 2 of the 3 killer clowns. You want to do them? And I was like, yes. And these are pretty much accurate replicas from the film. So there was no originality. It was just me getting to be a little kid and sculpt some of my heroes. Now, when I get a job like this, they're like, here's the idea. Can you make this work? And then I put my own spin on everything, you know? And
Of
even
course.
with the puppets, I mean, these were very established characters. But if you look at Blade right here, he's very thin and very gaunt. That's what he looked like in most of the movies. And then when I did the second time I did him, I made him a little bit different. And then on the third time, I changed him completely, you know?
A lot more chiseled.
Yeah, and way bigger. And I could fit more servos in that large body, more closer to like Chucky. I could put like 27 servos in there, where in the smaller bodies I fit like maybe 10. Because those are all radio controlled animatronics.
I was gonna say I did not realize that
these
part.
3, the Pinhead, that blade, and that blade, and then parts of that 6-shooter are radio controlled too.
Okay.
It's a little hard to see in there.
Yeah, it's a
I need
little
to
hard.
fix the lighting in that box.
I mean, I have a light that I could have put on this, but
It would just glare on that.
right.
So of course, Toxic
Toxic
Avenger,
Avengers.
we mentioned him. I used to write Lloyd Kaufman fan mail when I was a kid forever, and then ended up working with him as an adult. And recently he met my dad, and he told my dad, look, little Tommy used to write me fan mail, and now he's got his own museum. And it's like, I didn't know he ever connected the two, that was me that had written him.
So he did remember you
Oh, he
the
did.
letters.
And I didn't know until like 11 years after we knew each other.
That's so cool.
But I used to write him like once a year about how bad I wanted to work on movies. Good musical cue.
Yeah.
So most people do know that the Michael Myers mask is fashioned off of a William Shatner face, but a lot of people don't know that it's not Captain Kirk. It was a movie called Devil's Reign.
I do not.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. But
And he's my
you can
favorite.
see, if you see in that movie, he's even making that same expression that looks like the Myers mask. Like they almost maybe pulled a life cast off of him at that time.
Oh, I didn't even realize he was
Yeah,
behind
little
me.
Leatherface action.
Didn't even realize he was behind me.
Texas Chainsaw is probably my favorite of the slasher films. I just think it's so raw and so perfect. I recently got to be involved with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game, which is a huge deal and really, really fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
It's weird because I'm such an advocate of practical effects, and then I end up going to work on this motion capture deal where they're building everything in the computer, and I saw the future. I was like, oh man, this is next level stuff, you know. But Kane Hodder, who's Jason normally, plays Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw video game.
Oh, really?
And he brought me in as a little bit of like a chainsaw expert to kind of keep him stuck in a Gunnar Hansen mode, acting like the original Leatherface rather than slipping into a big scary Jason guy, you know. Which
He's a
is-
nice guy. I met him at Scarefest.
Scarefest, yeah. He is, Kane is awesome. And he loves Scarefest. I talked to him yesterday, and he was talking about Scarefest.
Yeah, he was.
I think that's
he's
the
a
one
nice
he was
guy.
talking about axe throwing at and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked yesterday. He was like,
It's funny, like people will go to shake his hand. He's like,
yeah. I worked with him in 2005 on a film called Ed Gein, Butcher of Plainsfield. And since then, we've just been on and off buddies, and he's commissioned me. I do all of his costume photo ops. So I've built him an Uber Jason, a Jason 8. We're working on one right now. He brought me on the Chainsaw video game. Like, Kane is just, I'm in forever in his debt, but also it's, talk about like, that was my childhood hero.
right.
And now I talk to him weekly, you know. It's pretty cool. Really, really cool. The Leprechaun figure is probably my number 2 favorite figure in the museum. I love those movies. If there's one franchise of movie that I could have been involved with that I'm not, it would be the Leprechaun. I love the Leprechaun. And I listened to Warwick Davis's biography while I sculpted that and really honed him. I just love that character. This is the one item in the museum I did not build. This is Trick or Treat Studios good guy. Just kind of a space holder right now because I just had a big blank space there. But
do you still do masks for them?
I haven't done a mask for them since I did a Ginger Dead Man one a couple years ago. But the owner Justin was here last night till 2 in the morning. Like, we're really close. Just they've been super busy. I've been super busy. Right. But I have nothing but love for Trick or Treat. They're doing a lot of cool toy stuff right now too. Like in the future, I believe they'll morph more into like a NECA and a collectibles, more like a sideshow collectibles.
They had some nice stuff. We was at the Halloween party.
You went to the expo, okay? Yes. Yeah. It's cool. It's pretty. Yeah, the future of Trick or Treat is pretty cool. And I've watched it from the infancy, from when they had 11 masks. You know. Right. So it's really cool to watch them grow and become this powerhouse. That Jason figure is probably one of the oldest figures in the museum. I started that in high school, so that's like, I don't even want to say how old now.
You said your age, you're
20,
good.
Yeah, it's got to be 25 years old. About 25. But he's holding together. Eventually, he'll be upgraded. I'm working on a whole bunch of different Jason variations so we can have like more Jasons in the museum. If you guys come back at any point, it will all be different because I'm like a couple weeks away from blowing a hole in the wall and having a whole nother area. Oh, okay. I'm building out that area right now, but it's just a construction zone.
Yeah, it takes time.
And then of course our boy Tim Curry, to me is the modern day, not even modern day anymore, but was the modern day Man of a Thousand Faces. I mean, he could go from Frankenfurter to Darkness from Legend to Meet the Feebles. I mean, that guy could play any part, you know?
Yeah, I was watching a movie the other day and I was like, what is he doing in this movie?
Home Alone 2?
That one too.
Yeah, I mean, he's in everything. He's so good.
You still make the Zoltars?
I do. So Zoltar, I can show you out the front door where they are. They're right behind us. Okay. But I do still make Zoltars. I just finished an alien head for them last week. If you ever go to the alien fresh beef jerky, I made the alien Trump and the alien Biden that are there. I've done Post Malone. I've done a million custom Zoltars.
You done a Post Malone Zoltar?
Post Malone Zoltar. I did the guy from the Property Brothers. I don't know what his name is.
I know who you're talking about.
One of the brothers, the scruffier one. I did, like a normal Zoltar you see with the normal mustache and whatnot. I have nothing to do with that. That's those guys. They just pour up molds they've had for years. But if it's a custom thing or a mascot version, like we just did an animatronic octopus Zoltar that like all the tentacles move and it's crazy. Anything that's custom, that's what I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I made a 6-eyed dog one for La Quinana's brewery.
So what's the future hold for you other than online classes?
Really, this museum, like we have a haunted house next door too, so that's a lot of my work through the year. But it's just my future of 2022 is to refine. Next time you guys come back, I don't want there to be white ceilings anywhere. I don't lights. Like I want to just refine. We've spent so much time hustling to get it done. Right. That now I just want to start back at the beginning and go through with a fine-tooth comb and make it feel like even more immersive. My goal is that any angle you face, you get a beautiful image. That doesn't happen when there's a big thermostat or some white marks. Like that all has to. So my future is just filling information everywhere, and where there's not information, there's decor. Right. You know.
Well, I'll tell you what. When you get it done, we'll come back.
Awesome.
And we'll get you to take us through again.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you for
It was a
dropping
pleasure.
your
All right,
plans.
thank you.
Oh, of
Show us
course,
around.
of course. Hey, thank you guys for making it out here.
All right.
Okay, so we are now leaving Tom Devlin's Monster Museum, and he was kind enough to drop what he was doing to come by and give us a personal tour. We appreciate him for that. So now we think we may be on our way back to the Strip to make a stop at the Neon Museum. Unless we see something else that catches our attention, then we'll stop there.